To do maintenance on the airplane, you must know how to use the available tools. In this lesson, you will see the content and organization of the manuals. You will use the tools to find the corrective action for a fault. First, you will look at the Fault Reporting Manual, or FIRM, and the Fault Isolation Manual, or FIM. In the first example, the airplane is in cruise. The flight crew sees an ICAS message. It is an advisory message. After they follow the non-normal checklist procedures, the flight crew uses the Fault Reporting Manual, FIRM, to locate the fault code. The flight crew first finds the ICAS message in the ICAS Alert Messages section. Next, the flight crew finds the fault code under the alphabetical listing of ICAS messages. For more information about the FIRM page, select the information icon. The flight crew sends the fault code to the ground crew. You write the fault code in your notebook. Now you must find the task number. Start to isolate the fault. The front subjects of the FIM have the same type of information as in the FIRM. The FIM introduction is a very important front subject in the FIM. The introduction shows the basic fault isolation process. To start fault isolation, you find a fault with an airplane system. These are the possible types of airplane faults. If you have an ICAS message, you go to the mat to find the fault code and maintenance message. If you have an observed fault or cabin fault, start with the FIM. When you have the fault code, use the fault code index to find the FIM task. Find the FIM task and follow the steps of the fault isolation task. The FIM task tells you how to find the cause of the fault. Okay, you looked at the basic fault isolation process. Next, you will use the fault isolation process for the given fault. Find the task number for the fault. For information about the tab sections, select the information icon. You use one of the front sections if you do not have the fault code. The fault code is in your notebook. Select the page for this fault. For more information about the chapter sections, select the information icon. Select the maintenance message and task for this fault code. There was only one maintenance message for this fault. Most faults will have more than one maintenance message. Continue to isolate the fault. You found the fault isolation task. Select the information icon for more information about this task page. You have completed one of the two faults for this topic. In the second example, the airplane is in for extended maintenance. You have this logbook entry. You must find the fault code. Select the manual you will use. Find the data to correct this fault. Select the data for this fault. You wrote the fault code and task number in your notebook. You can also find the information in another fault description category. Continue to isolate the fault. Continue to isolate the fault. Here is the task for the observed fault. You complete each step in this task. Notice the references to the other manuals. Task support information can follow a FIM task. Select the information icon for more information about the task support page, or use the green arrow to continue. You saw how the flight crew uses the FIM to find a fault code. You also used the FIM to find the fault isolation tasks. Next, you will look at additional support information that you use to correct a fault. In this example, you found the fault code and the task number for the fault. Select the manual that you use to complete the fault isolation steps. You wrote the Airplane Maintenance Manual, or AMM, procedure reference number in your notebook. Next, you will find the procedure in the AMM. Find the practices and procedures. Look for the reference number in the lower right corner of the page. This is the procedure to remove and install the component. You completed the AMM Part 2 procedure. Select the manual that you use to continue with fault isolation. OK. You return to the fault isolation task in the FIM and complete the steps for the fault isolation procedure. Select the manual you use for general system information. Correct. The AMM Part 1 contains a general description and operation of the system. Here is an example of a page set from the AMM Part 1. Select the information icon for more information. You looked at the practices and procedures in the AMM Part 2, and you saw a systems description page in the AMM Part 1. Next, you will look at a wiring diagram manual and a systems schematic manual and how they can be referenced. You will see how the FIM and the AMM Part 2 can refer to wiring diagrams and system schematics. The airplane is in for extended maintenance. The logbook entry shows a fault. You found the fault code and a task number for the fault. Here is the FIM task for the fault in your notebook. Select the wiring diagram reference. Select one of the chapter tabs in the wiring diagram manual. You use wiring diagrams to locate wire connections. The wiring diagrams are in numerical order by ATA chapter. For more information, select the information icon. Select the other manual that refers you to wiring diagram manuals and schematic manuals. That's correct. Some practice or procedure steps in the AMM Part 2 refer to wiring diagram manuals and schematic manuals. Here is a procedure from the AMM. Select the System Schematic Manual or SSM reference. You use the System Schematic Manual to find system interface information. The schematics are in numeric order by ATA chapter. For more information, select the information icon. Next, you will use the tools to practice fault isolation. The airplane is in the hangar for extended maintenance. You received this logbook write-up. You must do the fault isolation. You wrote the ICAS messages in your notebook. Select the tool you want to use to start the fault isolation. Select a tool. Correct. First, you go to the inbound flight deck effects display to find the ICAS messages. You wrote the maintenance message and the fault codes in your notebook. Now select the manual that you use to continue fault isolation. Select the FIM tab section that you use next. Select the chapter subject that you use first. Select the information for your notebook. You can use any fault code in your notebook. All refer to the same maintenance message and FIM task number. Select the correct section to continue the fault isolation. You completed the fault isolation steps that have the red check marks. Select the manual that the next fault isolation step references. Correct. You follow the procedures in this manual. Select the tool you use when the maintenance manual procedure is complete. The AMM Part 1 contains system information. You want to complete the fault isolation task. Correct. You finish the fault isolation procedures with the FIM task. You received a logbook write-up. Then you found the FIM task. You followed the reference to the AMM Part 2. Finally, you went back to the FIM and completed the task. During fault isolation, you may use other tools before you use the FIM. The FIM also references other tools. You must return to the FIM to complete fault isolation.